You said he was a fraud striker. You even said he could only score tap-ins. Well, Isagi Yoichi just took the hardest goal in all of Blue Lock and did it after handicapping himself. So, where are you at now? Because my GOAT has just proven that he's the best player in Blue Lock and is going to surpass Noel Noah. Because not only did his whole plan work out, but he's completely unhinged and used this poor Nigeria team to evolve himself further. That's right, Blue Lock versus Nigeria was controlled by Isagi the whole time. So while some bozos were saying, oh, Isagi is just a midfielder, he's a tap-in merchant, he can't do anything on his own, and even that it's just plot, if you're saying that anyone could do this, then you're delusional, buddy. The last few chapters, my GOAT had ego shook. He forced Nigeria to evolve, he made his entire team better through his influence, and had everyone glazing. But Isagi said, nah, that's not enough for me. And in chapter 325, he went beyond anything we could have ever imagined. But to understand why this goal is so insane, besides the obvious, we have to rewind to the beginning of the chapter. So following his previous unhinged words and having ego shook in chapter 324, Isagi is pushing forward, with Anri in shock that he wants more. Kuso has the same reaction, wondering why the hell he wants another goal. I mean, they've already won, but we know our boy. His ego is insatiable, there's no end to it. So to start off the attack, Isagi activates Rin's ego by passing to him and uses him in his chemical reaction. He and Rin cook Nigeria again, but then he gets Karasu involved, with him stating, "Show us what you can do, Demon King." Yeah, again, this is a football manga, but listen, just ignore that, okay? This goes into what we said previously, that Isagi is the true leader and captain of Blue Lock that inspires everyone to evolve. Yes, I know Aiku is technically the captain, but come on, we all know the truth. He then passes the Bachira, with Kuso stating, "Isagi is going for goal, stop him." But Bachira knows the truth. If Isagi simply just wanted to score, he could have just dominated the middle with Rin the entire time, but he chose Bachira because he's asking for something new. And with just one thumbs down, Bachira understands what our egoist wants most, giving him a low pass with backspin between 3 defenders. Yeah, I may be glazing Isagi this entire video, but I can't not bring up Bachira a few times because my guy is another GOAT. Isagi passes the Bachira for 2 different reasons though. For one, it will let Bachira evolve more and get stronger by figuring a way out of this tough situation, which he did through this pass. And 2, so it wasn't too easy for him, because if he went to Rin and he scored, it would have been way too easy. Neither of these are selfless. Isagi only passed the Bachira because even if he does evolve, then what happens? Isagi adapts to his genius and becomes even stronger. However, before we continue, there was something I didn't talk about in the last video that I need to, and that's that Bachira is definitely the MVP of this match, right? Listen, I love Isagi, but just based on stats, Bachira got 3 assists this game and a goal. That's some Lionel Messi type shit, a hat-trick of assists? That's crazy. He deserves some glazing. He was definitely held back by FC Barch, let's be real, which is also quite true for Messi in his later years though, but anyway. Rin is stopped by Nigeria, but then Isagi is confronted by Kuso and Onazi. He uses the exact same evolved trick that Onazi did earlier, but his own evolved version on the ground. So he took Onazi's brand new weapon and turned it into his own. Oh no! Stating, "Don't win by luck, make victory inevitable, but don't get trapped in a formula you've already created." So Isagi flicks the ball up extremely high and jumps up into the air like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He twists and smashes the ball into the top corner, with Onazi realizing this is what it means to go for number 1. This goal was just outrageous. I'm not even joking, it's so dumb. And I'm not just talking from an Isagi intelligence standpoint like a lot of his other goals, because bro just proved that physically he's also one of the best, and no one can say he's a bad striker anymore and some fraud midfielder. For one, he stole Onazi's trick, meaning that his entire plan paid off, but just as he's always done before, he turned it into his own weapon like he did with Naruhaya before. Onazi was the heart of Nigeria, their best player by far, and even he had to evolve further to figure out this new trick. And Isagi, he just stole that and made it even better because it's way more versatile on the ground, and he could even use use his two-gun volley in the future with this, and have infinite attack patterns just as he already said in the past. But the fact that he flicked the ball up and somehow jumped this high, that's literally the kind of Shido would do. And the goal was honestly like Henry's goal against Man United many years ago. One of the best goals in the Premier League, and Isagi did this for fun. Now, flicking up a ball and hitting it isn't the hardest thing to do. The main issue is actually getting enough power behind it. It's incredibly hard. Anyone who's watching who's actually played real life football knows this, but to be fair, I don't think many Blue Lock fans have actually watched football. I also barely even think this is a football manga at this point, but still. Anyway, I did mention Shido, but Isagi's feat is honestly a lot better than his, because Shido desperately needs others for this kind of feat and has to rely on pure instinct, whilst Isagi can straight up calculate when to pull off this kind of play. He proved that this whole game, yeah, he could have scored any time he wanted to, but it would have been too easy. This is legit some Torfin type talk, to be honest with you. When you're as good as a player as I am, the game's no fun unless you increase the difficulty, which is exactly what Isagi's doing. Like, think about it. Everything went according to his plan. He hyped up Nigeria to find a new egoist in Onazi, which he succeeded, then forced him to evolve further, while somehow keeping the clean sheet for Blue Lock. Hell, he even made his own team evolve, which was another one of his goals. Honestly, for my Nigerian guys in the comments, I'm so sorry. Isagi just played with your team so hard, using them as a stepping stone to evolve. They were too weak, so bro had to constantly restrict himself so he could actually improve. It's like if you're a grown adult playing against literal children. Okay, that may be a bit too rude to Nigeria, but that's how Isagi was treating them this entire game. And by the way, Isagi is definitely the best player at Blue Lock now, if it wasn't clear before. He was tied for #1, and people be forgetting that. My GOAT is built different. I will not stop the GLAZE. Rin is a bozo, okay? He looked stumped when Nigeria popped up to stop him, but my king stepped up and evolved more. Isagi was stopped by Onazi and Kuso, by the way. They're best players, not these two NPCs. He even held them off with pure arm strength. Nico has nothing on this guy. Imagine training for weeks to be able to get stronger, and Isagi just somehow has that in the bag all along. How is that fair? But in all seriousness, Isagi has no weaknesses left. His dribbling, people used to clown it until he cooked Yukimiya and proved that he can break ankles when he wants to, and his shooting was also questioned all the way up until the Neo Egoist League, where he invented the two-gun volley, and now he just scored a screamer from outside the box. So the tapping allegations, even though they were ridiculous to begin with, can no longer be questioned, and if you are saying that, then I'm convinced you have never touched a football in your entire life or even watched it. That's right, I'm boasting all of you. But anyway, his defense is also perfect thanks to his cracked spatial awareness and metavision. This is a part where I'll kind of concede. It doesn't really make much sense for strikers to be tracking that far back. I guess it does sometimes happen, but Isagi is low-key carrying Blue Lock's defense as well, but who cares, okay? You can kind of just do everything, it's manga. But stuff that does make sense for him is his passing is elite now, his vision has always been god tier, so what doesn't this man have? Even his physicality's leveled up. Man's out here bodying defenders that would have shoved him off in the past. And I ain't done, because he goes even further, stating that he'll gamble everything. His thinking, his unknown pleasures, the curiosity within himself, saying, screw the plans and the status quo that Ego created. He needs to be tested over and over again, going as far as to tell Ego that the football he's creating, it's no longer enough for him. This is the first time Jinpachi Ego has ever been genuinely outplayed by his own creation. His entire philosophy was about building the ultimate egoist, but Isagi just proved that he doesn't need Ego's philosophy anymore. He's created his own and outgrown the system. This is also insane and completely backs up what I said last chapter, that Isagi is surpassing Ego and becoming the new leader of Blue Lock. Ego had no idea Isagi would go this far. He was content, which is the problem. Remember, it was him that stated that being satisfied is what kills growth. So mistakenly, he went against his own beliefs while Isagi went above and beyond. Like, look at this setup again. Rin draws in the defenders, Bachira's ball has spin so it's unpredictable, and Kuso's closing angle forces Isagi to improvise. There's no space, no time, and this psycho still finds a way to weaponize it. In fact, this is what he wanted. Do you know how insane this is? Legit, of all people, this reminded me of Goku.
Are you playing?
Constantly needing a challenge and stronger opponent. And yes, I did just compare a football player with Son Goku from Dragon Ball. Yeah, come at me. But to be real, Isagi's new weapon is sick, but honestly, it's kind of just an indicator of how terrifying he'll be, and already is. Isagi has said now that he'll never really try the same thing twice if he wants to keep evolving. He'll keep creating new weapons, even if it kills him. That might sound dramatic, but that's the kind of thing that Isagi would definitely say. And this is something he's always done when faced by adversity. Like I said before, he stole Naruhaya's technique, his two-gun volley was inspired by Nagi, and both of these were Isagi's own versions, and not just a copycat like Ryo, for example. My guy takes them and makes them his own, and better in some cases. And bring this up because I saw some crazy Ryo glaze saying he's close to Isagi. Bro, in what universe is Ryo pulling off this shit?
It can't be possible.
It seems like everyone forgot who Isagi is and that he's number one for a reason. Everyone saying why didn't he score more is just completely brain dead, because this just proves that he could have. He could have scored many if he wanted to, but that wouldn't have made him any better, and that'd be a shallow ass ego. The only time we'll actually see him score a significant amount of goals is when he's facing a better team, which might sound like a contradiction, but it actually makes sense for Isagi. He's the definition of a big game player, because when playing against bums, it's really easy for him to the point where he doesn't even have to try and has to somehow find other ways to evolve. But this line wasn't just him talking to ego, he was talking to every striker in Blue Lock. Rin evolves through hatred, Shido evolves through chaos, even other talented learners we've seen, like Kai'Sa, seem to evolve through some sad-ass backstory. Okay, don't come for me. I love Kai'Sa, guys, I promise. Don't find out where I live. But Isagi, he evolves through curiosity, through never being satisfied. That's why he's the real embodiment of Blue Lock. He was obsessed with football from the moment he first saw it. There was no reason behind it. His entire being was just entranced. So all those memes going, he has a loving family, by the way, that's kind of the point. He doesn't need some outside influence to make him this unhinged. It's kind of just how he is. So of course, he's always wanting to learn more, and Ego was cooking by sending him to study pro football, since it awakened my guy completely. But his playstyle and Ego make perfect sense even when you compare them to real life. The best players that ever live had to change and evolve their playstyles to stay at the top. Cristiano Ronaldo went from a trickster winger to a full-on striker with perfect positioning, and is honestly one of the best poachers ever, with the ability to still score screamers if needed, so he was a nightmare to defend against. By the way, don't say I'm glazing Ronaldo. I ain't Piers Morgan.
Are they like, do you mind if I just...
Anyway, if you actually want to see some glaze, then let's talk about Lionel Messi, because it was very similar for him. Messi was a great winger, or cam, or striker in some cases, but as he aged, he actually somehow got better in a lot of ways, until his later 30s anyway, which is more debatable. And this was despite not having the physicality for it. How? Over time he evolved, he increased his shot power, he fixed his long-range game to the point where he became the top goal scorer from outside the box in football history, something he was once criticised for. Then he got completely busted at free kicks, becoming the best in history at them as well, and his playmaking? That's also just next level. His passing is just as iconic as his goals. He's not just the greatest goal scorer in football history with the most non-penalty goals and the best goal-to-game ratio, he's also got 400 assists, which is, again, the most in history. But why do I bring this up? How does it relate to Blue Lock? Because I still see people calling Isagi an assist merchant. Guys, forwards can get assists. Look at Messi, Kane, Suarez. Like, come on, he's just an all-round player. And one day, Isagi will be completely unstoppable, if he's not already at that point now. A hat-trick is coming soon, trust me. So people saying that he's just an attacking midfielder, come on. He's a goated goal scorer with elite passing. That is possible. To be fair, again, him being one of the best defenders is a bit unrealistic, but still, I'll let it go because he's my GOAT. The GOAT! But anyway, everyone screams and hugs Isagi after he scores, with the game ending 4-0. And again, I'm still laughing my ass off at the fact that when this game first started, and even when it got to 1-0, 2-0, people were still thinking Nigeria were going to come back. You guys are cooked. Anyway, if you guys want to enjoy more Peak Fiction, then make sure to click the video on screen right now.